You've inherited a property and now you want to know, how do I refinance it? In today's video, I'm going to actually share with you how do you refinance it, what are your selling options, and how do you do it in keeping the family together instead of tearing at each other's throats.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
So how do you actually refinance inherited property? You know, this is surprisingly a question that I get more often than you might think. People actually come here and they know that I've done thousands of deals and they want to know, Kris, what do you do when you're working with families where there's been a death in the family, property's been inherited? And so today I'm going to talk about this magic word right here. How do you actually refinance inherited property? And to really kind of dive deep into this and help you get this conversation, I think you need to understand that this can be for many people a sensitive conversation piece. And the reason predominantly is because there's sentimentality issues. Someone died and someone's feeling like, I can't let go of mom and dad yet, or my great uncle, or so-and-so, so let's hold on to the property. And usually the property is not always in the best of condition if someone was at the end of their life. That's not always the case. And there's what it does is it creates an opportunity for argument among siblings. So one says, I want to sell it. One says that I want to hold it. And then it becomes this game of, wait a second, can I actually buy out my siblings and still keep the property? Hence the conversation about the refinance. Refinance basically says, we don't want to sell the property, but we need to get some money out of it that we can give to some people so that we can buy out the heirs. And those people that basically have title to the property. And refinance is a great solution because while some might want to keep and some might want to sell, for those that want to keep, the other heirs that want to sell, guess what they need or want? They usually want the money and they just want to move on. Those that want to keep the property, maybe they're trying to honor some past person's wishes, and or maybe they think this is a great opportunity to turn it into an investment property. So let me just say a couple of things on that. First of all, don't try to become an expert investor on an inherited property that you're like, let's turn this into a moneymaker. It might actually be, but I'm just telling you 9 out of 10 times when I've dived into this scenario, do you know what it is? Dude, the property you inherit usually isn't going to make a great rental. It's usually not going to make a great anything. Get that thing sold, get rid of that thing. And that's just because I don't want to like walk into a property and have to make up a business plan for it. Unless there's a plan that immediately makes sense, the best thing that you can do, the thing that actually makes the most sense for you is to ask, how can I help my siblings or the other people that have title to this property feel comfortable with their solution? They need cash. How you do that is with refinance. Let me walk you through how that happens. Okay, so out of all the siblings, some are in a better position than others to actually refinance the property, even those that might even want out of it. You can get a little creative because there's multiple parties, but generally you're looking for someone that has good credit in the family. You're also looking for someone that has a job, a stable job. They've had it for at least 2 years. Now, if they have good credit and they've had a job for 2 years, and more importantly, let's just say that this is a person who lives within their means. The banks have a different ratio for how they calculate that. They call it a DTI, which means debt to income ratio. Basically, when you have a really high debt to income ratio, it means that you're strapped for cash. If you're the type of fiscally responsible person that has things paid off, or low obligations, then you're gonna have a low debt to income ratio. And it's these 3 things. When the bank says you got good credit, you've had your job for 2 years in the same industry, even if you had to switch jobs, but you also have, your expenses under control, that's where a bank basically says, fine, let's do a refi. However, most banks will not do an immediate refi. They're actually going to want to see you on title for a period of time. So you need to create an agreement with the family, and then what you want to do is you want to take the creditworthy individual and you want to put them on title. And you want to do this right away because the banks might want to see them here for up to 24 months. And some of you are like, wait, we need a solution faster than that. Then consider selling it. But if it's sentimental and you want to keep it, now there might be some banks that say, hey, you inherited this property, because of its low debt to income ratio, you can actually, refinance this right now. You don't have to wait 24 months. I just want you to be aware that it can take up to 24 months. You also have the opportunity for the person that wants to keep the home to technically do what's called a purchase, where they're actually going to say, hey, let's do an example here. Here's a home that we inherited. It has a value of $300,000. The family owes $50,000 left on it. And they're saying, all right, if we refinance it, it's going to take 24 months. Do we have another option? Well, this same credit-worthy person that has a good job, good credit, good debt to income ratio, they could actually say, I'm going to purchase this property. And preferably this is the person that wants to keep the property. So if it's the one that wants to keep it, and let's just say it's going to be split 3 ways. Well, we've got $250,000 of equity. If you were to fire sell it in the market, not fix it up, depending on the market, maybe you'd let go of it at $250,000. So let's just do that example. Let's just say there's $200,000 left to split. So a decision gets made, all right? We're going to split that 3 ways. That's pretty much $67,000 to each party. And so the person buying it says, great, I want to keep the house, so I want to actually get my money in the form of a discount. So I'm actually going to purchase the property for $233,000, even though it's worth $300,000, and that'll be my cut. Well, when that sells, the difference between what's owed and the $233,000 releases the rest of the money for the other 2 sibs to get their cut, and now they're out of the deal. So refinance could take some patience. Selling it is what you do when you don't have a lot of time and you just need it to go a heck of a lot faster. Now let me share with you what I've actually done with a lot of people who have inherited property. You see, there are some that might be watching this channel saying, but Kris, I want to invest with you. Like, that's what makes most sense with me. I want to become an investor. I want to use the money I inherited and I want to buy some more real estate. And if that's the case, the whole family doesn't need to be in agreement, although I've seen that happen as well. Sometimes those that do get their money out so that they can actually start investing. And what that means from time to time is that I've actually been privately involved in actually helping resolve some of these scenarios. That's where a lot of this information comes from. And so for those of you that are thinking, wait, we inherited this money, and instead of just using it to pay off debts, pay off a car, pay down the mortgage, don't do that. That's one of the biggest mistakes that most people make. They take the money and they basically want to throw it at something that's going to do no good for them. All it's going to do is reduce a payment or eliminate a bill. This is the perfect time. You've been given a gift. That money, invest it. Trust me. Get it to actually grow for you. I know you want to pay off your debts, but instead of trying to pay off your debt, take that extra money and grow it and let the growth eliminate the debt, even service the debt along the way. In fact, I created a video here. You see, I partner with people all over the world that find me on this channel that say, hey, I got some money in a 401k or an IRA, or I inherited a property. We want to be smart with our money. We want to grow it. And Kris, I hear that you're doing 20 to 30% annual returns on your money. You're doubling your money every 4 or 5 years. So if that's interesting and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, rather than just figuring out how to get this money and do something with it, I actually want to learn the most responsible thing I can do with it. I'm going to invite you right now to watch the video that I've got queued up right over here for you. It'll help you understand that if you've inherited some of that money, before you just decide up front what you're going to do with it, figure out what could happen to it and how you could multiply it in a short period of time if you had the right partner and if you had the right strategy. Check that link out. The rest of the details you can find in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's video.